Hi everyone, I'm joined today by Evelyn Eck from York Park Group. We've brought in the big guns to help us debrief budget season. So off the back of the Victorian budget and the federal budget, there's been announcements regarding capital gains tax that's really ignited business and small business particularly. Probably as much as I've ever seen, created the AI memes with Albo, the 47% shareholder. I'm really interested to understand, what do you think is behind this movement of small business utilising social media? What's happening out there?
You know, I think it's really interesting how social's given everyone the opportunity to have their say, to share their first-hand experiences. Nothing's more impactful when it comes to advocacy than having real people share what's going on the ground. I think this groundswell, it's been very organic as well. I think it doesn't seem anyway to be particularly coordinated, but it's really taken off. And I think that the sentiment has really tapped into something that's just taken on a sort of a bit of a life of its own and has gone viral. I mean, as communicators, we're always looking for those viral moments, and this is an example of that.
And is it the first that you've seen of small business in Australia?
I think that small businesses rightly are so focused on their business. They're busy in the day-to-day operations of running their business, that this is a bit unusual that we've seen such a strong movement of individual small businesses coming out and taking their own time to share their stories. Socials doesn't take long as well, and I think that, we're seeing small businesses generating memes, yes, but also just talking to camera in their car, talking about their story, their experience. I think there's also something here around how businesses have said, you know what, I feel unheard, or I feel like my point of view is not being listened to. So what can I do to say what it's like for me as Joe Blogg, small business owner in the suburbs of Melbourne?
We spend our time here at the Chamber, saying how powerful business is and to step into your power. And it's wonderful to see this happen. And, I could see people with 100 followers getting thousands of likes. So it has sort of ignited something, hasn't it?
Well, I think it's just tapped into something like a sentiment that's out there. I know that there's some questions around accuracy and some of the detail, but that aside, what it's saying is that there is a negative response, and that small businesses are coming together individually but by collective to have their say, to say we're feeling the brunt of this and we want change.
Here at the Chamber, we spend almost all our waking hours contemplating how we can have a positive impact for business. We are making submissions. We're just putting the final touches on our election platform. We're involved in all sorts of engagement and consultation. How does that fit with these sort of social campaigns?
Advocacy is multi-layered, and it should be. I speak to a lot of organisations about having a drumbeat of communications that go out to all of your audiences. In addition to, seeking meetings with government and policymakers, in addition to the traditional media, in addition to the submissions, it's so important as well to also have direct comms, to have socials. How do we leverage all of the communication channels we've got at our disposal to really campaign for change? And I think that what we're seeing today is a great example of all of the different tools that advocacy bodies can utilise to really campaign for change.
And I love this idea that every small business then is also an advocate, and that just sort of adds to the voices stuff.
100%. I mean, case studies have always been a really key part to advocacy. Case studies, customer stories, member stories. And I think it's what I'm loving seeing is how organic it is, and that, there's a coordinated way to do things and there's this sort of organic way that it's evolving. How can we bring it all together?
Well, we're thrilled to see business stepping up and really fighting for their conditions and creating positive conditions for them to do what they do well, which is support their staff, grow the economy and ensure everyone, has a prosperous future. So thank you, Evelyn, for your time, and thanks to everyone for getting involved. It's much appreciated, and we want small business to continue to be heard.